Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Masterclass. It's Saturday once again, and we are on the 14th of March. A bit of recap of the last week. We are on the book, The Courage to Be Happy. It's based on Adlerian psychology. Last week, we talked of empathy is a skill, and we explained how you can feel the empathy. We talked about teleology and etiology. Change requires courage, and respect is contiguous. So, this is where we were. We talked about how respect is challenging and how you can actually get it. There was mention about horizontal relationships and empathy, teleology and the subjective path, and why change is difficult. And finally, human beings can determine themselves. We had Vishaka ask a beautiful question. I tried to answer it. I'm not sure if I passed. That Vishaka will tell you whether I passed in my answer of the question or not. And I'm sure I am not good at answering questions from our smart young people, but I've tried my best to do and say, okay, this is all I can understand, and then forgive me beyond that. So this is where we are. So Gurdeep, are we ready to read today?
Yes, sir.
So here we go. Your now decides the past. So this is the confluence of etiology and teleology, because that's how the now comes in. Now is in the middle. If you have a seesaw or a fulcrum, you are on the pivot. So that's what the now is. Now is the pivot. On one side, you are pushed down by etiology, and the other side, you're pushed down by teleology. It is true that this argument is difficult to accept, but if you calmly lay out all the facts, I'm sure you will agree because there is no other path here.
Well, it seems to me that the heat of your passion for ideas has burned a hole in your head. If you say the past does not exist, then how do you explain history? Maybe your beloved Socrates and Plato didn't exist. Look, that's what you're implying. So you're going to be ridiculed as unscientific.
Okay, so Gurdeep, at your end, there is a slight lag in reception. Is my screen clear?
Yes, screen
Okay,
is visible.
yeah, and thank you for the Socrates philosopher. History is a grand story that is continually manipulated by the powers that be of the time. It is always manipulated with great skill on the basis of the logic of the powerful that says, it is I who am just. All chronologies and history books are apocrypha, 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 sorry, compiled from the purpose of proving the legitimacy of those currently in power. In history, it is always the now that is the most correct, and whatever one authority is overthrown, a new ruler will rewrite the past again. But they will do so only for the purpose of explaining their own legitimacy. We are seeing it every day. You see what's happening around the world. This is exactly what is happening. How beautiful this philosopher's dialogue with the youth is. So, the past, in the most basic sense of the word, does not exist.
But
For example, suppose an armed group of a certain country is planning a coup d'etat. If they are suppressed and the attempt ends in failure, they will be defamed in the history books as traitors. On the other hand, if the coup d'etat succeeds and the government is overthrown, their names will be remembered in the history as heroes who took a stand against tyranny.
because history is something that is always rewritten by the victor.
I'm going to take a pause here again. I was yesterday reading about 1907 in India. and Veer Sarwakar is in England. So when I was reading that, I tried to figure out who is the hero, who is a tyrant. The people that time under propaganda who were listed as tyrants are actually heroes today. And that's what kind of your now dictates history. So I'm giving you an example. Most of the people whom you will read in a different country's history books will be considered tyrants, will be heroes in India. So our freedom fighters are actually tyrants in British history. So that's the hard reality. The current powers to be or the geopolitics creates the story, because history is something that is always rewritten by the victor. So that's what the youth has asked. It is the same with us as individuals. Every person is a compiler of a story of me who rewrites his or her own past as desired to prove the legitimacy of me now.
No, it's different with the individual. The individual's past and memory is the domain of neuroscience. Stay out of it. An outdated philosopher like you has no business there.
Thank you, Gurdeep, for telling me I'm outdated.
You
With
seem to
regard
say.
to memory, think of it like this: from the innumerable events that have happened in a person's past, the person chooses only those events that are compatible with the present goals, gives meaning to them, and turns them into memories. And conversely, events that run counter to the present goals are erased.
Huh.
Okay, I'll give you an example from my counseling. Once a man I was counseling recalled an incident from his childhood in which a dog attacked him and bit his leg. Apparently, his mother had often told him, if you see a stray dog, stay completely still, because if you run, it will chase you. There used to be a lot of stray dogs roaming the streets, you see. So one day, he came across a stray dog on the side of the road. A friend who had been walking with him ran away, but he obeyed his mother's instructions and stayed rooted to the spot. And the stray dog attacked him and bit his leg.
Are you saying that memory was a lie that he fabricated?
It is not a lie. It is probably true that he was bitten. There had to be a continuation to that episode, however. Through several sessions of counseling, the continuation of the story came back to him. While he was crouching down in pain after getting bitten by the dog, a man who happened to be riding on a bicycle stopped, helped him get up, and took him straight to the hospital. In the early stage of counseling, his lifestyle or worldview had been that the world is a perilous place and people are my enemies. To this man, the memory of having been bitten by a dog was an event signifying that this world is a place full of danger. However, once he had begun little by little to be able to think the world is a safe place and people are my comrades, episodes that supported the way of thinking started coming back to him.
Hmm.
Was one bitten by a dog or was one helped by another person? See, look at it this way: the dog bite and the help on the other side. The reason Adlerian psychology is considered a psychology of use is this aspect of being able to choose one's own life. Now, this is an important part of Adlerian psychology where you choose the life you want to live. The past does not decide now, it is your now that decides the past. I hope the message is absolutely clear. You always want to hear what you want to hear. You want to tell what you want to tell. And that's the hard reality. You never want to tell the other person's perspective to anyone. And that is the eternal truth. So here we go. Is this the next chapter, Gurdeep?
Yes. That
So,
bad person and poor
yeah,
me.
absolutely. So here we
So,
go.
mhm. So we choose our own lives and our own past.
Yes, There probably isn't anyone who leads a problem free life. Every person has sad experiences and setbacks and suffers unbearable treatment and great disappointment. Then why do some people refer to tragedies as lessons or memories, while others remain shackled to such events and regard them as inviolable traumas? Inviolable traumas. So it's an interesting word. Inviolable means can't be violated, can't be changed. So traumas that can't be changed. This is not being shackled to the past. The past colored by unhappiness is something one needs. Though it may be putting it harshly, it could be said that one is getting drunk on the cheap wine of tragedy and trying to forget the bitterness of an unfortunate now.
Enough. You have got some nerve. Cheap wine of tragedy? What you are saying is nothing but the logic of the strong, the logic of the victor. You don't know the pain of the downtrodden. You are insulting the downtrodden.
No, you are wrong. It is precisely because I believe in human potential that I'm opposed to getting drunk on tragedy.
Look, it hasn't been my intention to find out what kind of life you have led, but I think I have started to understand. Basically, without ever having a major setback or encountering overwhelming irrationality, you have crossed the threshold into a world of nebulous philosophy. That's why you can just toss off people's emotional scars like they are nothing. How exceptionally blessed you have been.
It seems you are having difficulty accepting this. Well, let's give something else a try. This is a triangular column that we occasionally in counseling, that we use occasionally in counseling.
Sounds interesting. Please explain.
This triangular column represents our psyche. From where you are sitting right now, you should be able to see only two of the three sides. What if written on those sides?
One side says that bad person, and other says poor me.
Right. Most of the people who come for counseling start talking about one or the other. They tearfully complain about the unhappiness that has befallen them, or they speak of their hatred for the other people who torment them and the society that surrounds them. It is not only in counseling, when speaking with family and friends, or when offering consultation, it is not an easy thing to be conscious of what one is talking about at that moment. However, by visualizing it in this way, one can see clearly that what one is talking about is actually just these two things. It sounds familiar, doesn't it?
To blame that bad person or to plead poor me. Well, I guess you could put it that way.
But this is not the point we should be talking to each other about. No matter how much you seek agreement regarding that bad person or complain about poor me, and whether there is someone who listens to that, even if you derive some temporary comfort, it will not lead to a true solution.
Then, what can one do?
The triangular column has another side that is hidden from you now. What sort of thing do you think is written on it?
Hey, stop messing around and just show it to me.
All right, please read out loud what it says there.
The
The
philosopher,
philosopher. Yeah, carry on, please.
the philosopher had brought out a piece of paper, folded into a triangular column, from where the youth sat. Only two of its three faces could be seen. On one face were the words, that bad person, and on the other, Poor me. According to the philosopher, the complaints of anxious people always ended up being one or the other. And then the philosopher slowly rotated the triangular column with his thin fingers and revealed the words written on the remaining face, the words that shook the youth's heart.
There's no magic in Adlerian psychology.
Yes.
Well, say it loud.
What should I do from now on?
Yes, this is precisely the point we should be talking to each other about. What should I do from now on? We do not need that bad person or such like neither is me poor necessary. No matter how loudly you complain about it, I will just ignore it.
You, you are inhuman.
I will not ignore it out of indifference. I'll ignore it because there is nothing there that we should talk to each other about. If I were to listen to stories about that bad person or poor me and sympathize with your plight by saying things like, that must have been tough, or it's not your fault at all, it is true that you might get some temporary solace. And you might even have a sense of satisfaction that was good to get counseling or good to consult this person. But how would that change things the next day and every day after that? Won't you just want to seek more solace the next time you are hurt? Isn't that dependence? That is why in Adlerian psychology we talk to each other about what should one do from now on.
But if you're saying I should think seriously about my own from now on, then first I would need to know about until now as its precondition.
No, right now you are in front of me. It is enough to know you who are in front of me. And in principle, there is no way for me to know the past you. I repeat, the past does not exist. The past you speak of, nothing more than a story skillfully compiled by you now. Please understand this point.
No way. You are just sticking random pieces of theory together and reproaching me to stop winning. You are just pushing the logic of the arrogant and strong without any regard for human weakness, without even trying to become familiar with that weakness.
Gurdeep, I'll pause here.
Yes,
The word is whining, not winning.
whining, yeah, whining, yes, sir.
You just remove the H from it and becomes
Mhm.
winning. But whine,
Whining,
painful. It's like a hyena crying. So you think when you talk of
whining,
whining, it reminds me of a dog yelping or a child. Whining is cribbing and crying. So
whining, correct.
requesting me to stop whining, not winning, because if it was winning, then the whole context would change. Thank you
Yes.
so much. God bless you. Philosopher, that is not so. For example, it is not uncommon for us counselors to simply pass this triangular column to the client and we make the following request. Sorry, it does not matter what the subject is. So please turn it to show me the content of what you are going to talk about. At that, many people choose what should I do from now on or their own accord and then begin thinking about the substance of that question. I'll take a pause here. So the triangle is very simple: bad person and poor me. So that's where you are stuck. But both don't matter. What matters is what you'll do from now on. So counselor has now on one corner. That is a missing corner you don't see. Over to you.
Of their own accord,
In other schools of counseling, there are shock therapy style approaches that attempt to provoke explosions of emotion by tracing deep into the past. but there is absolutely no need to engage in such practices. We are not prestidigitators or magitation or magicians. So they've given the meaning of prestidigitators, which means that you rely on prestige digitators. So that's the word says it all. If you read it slowly, prestige digitators, which means your prestige is letting things change, or magicians. I repeat, there is no magic in Adlerian psychology, a constructive and scientific psychology of human knowledge that is based not on mysterious magic, but on respect for people. That is Adlerian psychology.
Wow, you are going out on a limb again and using the word scientific.
I am.
All right, I'll swallow that. For the time being, I'll swallow those words. Now, let's get down to talking together about what is really the biggest issue for me, my from now on, my future as an educator.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So, Khushi, Shalini, Dinah, Shalini Gupta, thanks for being here. What are your thoughts
Good
on?
evening, sir.
Yeah, what is your thought from now on?
So I think this from now on, though it is just it's a phrase of three words, but it contains a lot of experience here, sir. When I listen to the philosopher and the youth, so I would like to quote this sentence which I read somewhere on the walls of Chennai city. So it says that a person gets knowledge from education and wisdom from experience. So when we listen to philosopher and youth, the youth gets unruffled by all the life experiences, and when the philosopher tries to calm him down or try to explain the realities of life, so the difference lies where the philosopher is more experienced. For him all these small for him all these things which occur in the life of youth are something he must have undergone, so he doesn't get unruffled. But for youth it is altogether a new experience, so maybe that is the reason that he becomes upset with the reality of life. So I think with experience we get to take the things in our stride, and then we think of from now on, rather than sitting on the problem we try to look for the solutions.
It's interesting. And that's why if you look at it, the world today, and if you look at the NEP, what it did, it removed a lot of baggage from the syllabus which had accumulated in the last 50, 100 years. So what has happened over the last 50, 100 years, your books got accumulated with more and more dust of time. I'm calling it dust of time. So it's relevant today that you possibly remove some of the dust of time and try and figure out what we have to do now. And the matter of now is, if you look at the current dispensation in the country, the matter of now is be proud of who you are. That is the message. Unlike 50 years back, the message was we have been let down. So there's a change in perception in the world because people want you to be proud of what you are, and that's what matters for you ahead, if you want to look at it that way. But either way, not what is ahead or what is behind. What is matter is at the moment you are on a perspective to think. And if you are on a perspective to think of the now, I think that is the game changer. If you can understand we are sitting here right now and you're focusing on this reading, nothing else matters. And if you're able to do that, believe me, you have become a person, a much better person, where you should be able to focus on exactly what we are doing. And today's world makes it even tougher to do that. It just makes you forget the now. It always looks like a mirage. And that's the challenge for our disquiet. That is the challenge for our disharmony. So if you want disquiet and disharmony to go under the carpet, just take your breath and be where you are now. That's my small message for the day. Diana, you wish to say something?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I love
Absolutely
your
true,
smile
sir.
always. I can see your smile. God bless you.
Absolutely true, sir. I mean, your now will affect your past and make your future. So true.
Yeah, which means
Absolutely
that
true.
if you look at the three triangle, it's very simple. There's past, future, and now. Let's simplify the triangle. The triangular column which he's talking. He's talking of a triangular column, which is a beautiful thing. So I don't know if you have seen when in mysticism, they give you a triangular column when counselors talk to you. It's a column in a triangular shape. So when they show you from one side, you only see a single line and one corner is hidden. And that's what he's talking about. The hidden thing is now. And so often we forget the now. That is the very biggest challenge of life. Thank you for your reflections. Let's flip the page. So we're coming on part 3. Why negate reward and punishment? So the word, again, same thing, reward and punishment. Let's just negate reward and punishment and see how the world goes. The dialogue with the philosopher wasn't going to be wrapped up so easily, the youth realized. He had to admit this old Socrates was a formidable opponent, especially with all the abstract theories he kept bringing up, but the youth still felt sure he would win in the end. So it's like becoming a competition. Take the discussion out of this little study as soon as possible and bring it to the classroom. Put it to the test in the real world. I don't want to just criticize it haphazardly, but it's just a bunch of pie in the sky theories that are totally divorced from reality. And I want to bring it all down to earth into the people's lives, into people's actual lives. The youth pulled up a chair and took a deep breath. So that's what I said. Pull up a chair, take a deep breath. And that's how we move ahead. The classroom is a democratic nation. This afternoon at 3 o'clock, we talked about behavior in the classroom. And it was a fascinating chapter about war versus peace and how a teacher can make all the difference to the present moment in the classroom. The book is Wanted Backbencher, Last Ranker Teacher. And I think this connects beautifully with the book as well as the theory behind it. The classroom is a democratic nation. Over to you, my youth.
In this world, the past does not exist. One must not get drunk on the cheap wine of tragedy. The only thing we should be talking to each other about is what should be done from now on. Okay, I'll go along with this premise. The issue I'll be facing from now on, I suppose, is the kind of teaching I put into practice in my school. So, I'm going to get into this area of discussion right away. You are okay with that, right?
Of course.
All right. Earlier, you said that the concrete first step is to start from respect, right? This is what I want to ask you about. Do you think that just by bringing respect into the classroom, that will solve everything? In other words, that the students will stop making any trouble?
Um, Again, going back to my chapter, and this is what this young lady Roma, who is a temporary teacher, brings to the fore. She finds students making trouble in her class to the extent that a subject teacher who teaches physics is so harassed, she's almost about to cry in the class when the class teacher comes. But the class teacher, her resilience and her present moment without even looking at what the students did a while back or what he should do to take care of the consequences. He just looked straight into the eyes and talked to them, and it made all the difference. The class calmed down. That won't solve things on its own. There will still be trouble.
Then I'll have to yell at them after all, won't I? Because they're still engaging in bad conduct and being a nuisance to other students.
No, you must not rebuke them.
So, you are saying I should just let them do bad things right under my nose and not do anything about it. But that's no different from saying that a thief shouldn't be caught and punished. Now is it? Would Adler accept such lawlessness?
Adler's view is not one that ignores laws or rules. That is, as long as they are rules that have been created through a democratic process. This is an extremely important point, both for society as a whole and running a classroom.
A democratic process?
Yes, think of your classroom as a democratic nation.
Oh, what do you mean?
The sovereignty of a democratic nation is with its people, right? This is the principle of national sovereignty, where sovereign power rests with the people. The people who are sovereign establish all manner of rules on the basis of mutual consent, and these rules are applied equally to all citizens. It is for the reason that they can observe the rules rather than simply obeying the rules. They can observe them more actively as our rules. On the other hand, what happens when rules are established according to someone's solitary judgment rather than on the basis of citizen consensus? And when, furthermore, those rules are enforced very unequally.
Well, you can bet the people won't be quiet about it.
Then, to suppress a rebellion, the ruler would have no choice but to exercise tangible and intangible powers. This is something that concerns not only the nation, but the corporation and the family too. An organization in which someone is using their power to suppress irrationality at its foundation.
I see.
The same goes for the classroom. The sovereign of the classroom nation is not the teacher, it's the students. And the rules of the classroom must be established on the basis of consensus from the students who are sovereign. Let us start with this principle in mind.
As usual, you are making things so complicated. So, what you are saying is that the students should be allowed to govern themselves. Our school already has a regular system of self government in place with a student council and such.
No, I'm not talking about something more fundamental. If, for example, we think of the classroom as a nation, then the students are the citizen. What would be the position of the teacher then?
Well, if you're saying the students are the citizens, I suppose the teacher would be the prime minister or president who acts as their leader.
But that doesn't seem right, does it? Were you chosen by the students in an election? And if you were to call yourself a president without having gone through an election, it wouldn't be a democratic nation. It would just be a dictatorship.
I guess so, logically speaking, anyway.
I'm not talking about logic, but about reality. The classroom is not a dictatorship that is ruled over by the teacher. It is a democratic nation in which each and every student is sovereign. Teachers who forget this principle set up a dictatorship without even realizing it. I'll pause here and I will share how things work in Finland, where there is very high student agency. And if you look at what we've been historically talking in this book, I'm using the word historically, which I should. We are in the book now. We are simply saying is that the past doesn't matter and future doesn't exist. So what happens in a classroom? The teacher connects with the student in such a beautiful way that they are all in it together now. So there is no dictatorship. And when you talk of student agency, whatever the students want is always positive there. This simply happens because every decision is taken together.
So you are saying I have got fascistic learnings.
Fascistic learning, okay?
Fascistic
If you put
learnings.
it in extreme terms, yes. So that word fascist, it comes from here. So it's calling it fascistic leaning. So fascist is the person who just refuses to listen to anyone and who has his own ideas and he thinks very high of himself. That's a fascist. If you put it in extreme terms, yes, the fact that your classroom has got out of control is not the problem of your students individually, and you are not insufficiently qualified as a teacher. It is only that the situation there is akin to a corrupted dictatorship. That is why it is out of control. An organization that is under the command of a dictator cannot escape corruption.
Stop making accusations. On what grounds can you make such criticisms?
The grounds are quite clear. It is on the basis of that reward and punishment which you insist is necessary.
What are you talking about?
If you would like to talk about this, yes, the subject of praising and rebuking.
It's funny that you are the one who is throwing down the gauntlet because I have gained a fair amount of experience of teaching, especially in classrooms. I'm going to make you take back those extremely rude accusations. You can count on it.
All right, let's talk it over to our heart's content. Don't rebuke, do not rebuke, and do not praise. So, we are now coming to the real debate of awards and punishment, of carrot and stick, the traditional method of pushing knowledge and learning. Over to you.
Adler forbids reward and punishment. He advises not to rebuke and not to praise. Why did Adler espouse such nonsense? And did he realize how much of a gap there is between the ideal and the reality? That is what I want to know.
I see. Just to make sure, you think of rebuking and praising as both being necessary.
Yes, of course I do. Even
Even,
my students,
sorry,
even if my students might not like me because of it, I still have to rebuke them. They have got to correct their mistakes. Yes, let's start with whether rebuking is right or wrong.
an interesting point here. I'm sure the teachers here would be very keen to know is rebuking right or wrong and will have their own opinions. All right, why must one not rebuke a person? It is probably best to look at it this according to the situation. First, consider a boy who has done something bad. It could be something dangerous or that might harm another person or something approaching a criminal act. Why on earth did the boy do such a thing? One thing that may be considered then is the possibility that they did not know was a bad thing.
He didn't know.
Right? I'll use my own story for example. When I was a child, I had a magnifying glass with me wherever I went. I'd find insects and plants and look at them through it. I passed the time gazing to my heart's content at the worlds that were invisible to the naked eye. I'd spend all day absorbed in observing them like a little entomologist.
Yes, I had such a phase too.
A little while later, though, I learned of a completely different use of the magnifying glass focus. I'd focus the sunlight through it onto a piece of black paper, and lo and behold, smoke would rise from the paper until at last it would begin to burn. Witnessing this miracle of science that seemed like a magic trick, I felt the excitement course through me, and I couldn't think of it as a magnifying glass anymore.
It's really something, isn't it? I too found that more to my liking rather than crawling around on the ground staring at bugs. A small magnifying glass may inspire one to contemplate the power of the sun and even contemplate the universe. It's a boy's first step into science.
So I was playing in this way on hot summer's day by burning paper. I had placed a sheet of black paper on the ground. I was focusing the light with my magnifying glass, as I always did. When out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of a solitary ant. It was a large and sturdy ant with a deep black exoskeleton. So when you see the ant from outside, you can see the exoskeleton. I was getting bored already with the black paper. So what did I do to the black ant with my magnifying glass? I don't think I need to explain any further.
I get it. Well, children can be cruel.
Yes, children often do exhibit this sort of brutality of killing insects for fun. But are children really cruel? Do they walk around with some latent aggressive behavior? As Freud calls it, I don't think so. Children are not cruel. It's just that they don't know. They do not know what life is worth or about other people's pain. So there is one thing that adults should do. If they do not know, teach them. And then we teach them. We do not need words of reprimand. Please do not forget this principle, because it is not that they are engaging in bad behavior, but simply that they did not know.
You are saying that it's not aggression or brutality, but a crime arising from ignorance.
A child playing on the railroad track might not realize that it is a dangerous thing to do. A child shouting loudly in a public place might not know he is causing a disturbance. Whatever it may be, we all start from a point of not knowing. Won't you say that it is unreasonable to sternly reproach someone if they do not know that what they are doing is wrong?
Sure, if they really do not know.
What is needed of us adults is not to reprimand, but to teach. With words of reason and without getting emotional or raising our voices. You are not someone who cannot do this.
If that were the only example, then it would be just as you say. Because there is no way you are going to accept your own aunt killing brutality, right? But this isn't a line of reasoning that I'll ever swallow. It just feels like it will get stuck in back of my throat, like some cloying malt syrup or something. Your understanding of people is too naive.
Interesting phrase, cloying malt syrup. So it's cloying on your throat, it's stuck in your throat. What is naive now? What is naive about it?
Kindergartners are another matter, but when it comes to grammar school children, and even more so with middle schoolers, they are all fully aware of what they are doing. They have known for a long time what's prohibited and what's considered immoral. You might say that these kids engage in problem behavior as a prisoners of conscience. They have got to be severely punished for their offenses. So, I wish you would just dispense with this old man act of making them out to be a bunch of pure-hearted angels.
It's conscience, prisoners of conscience, not science.
Conscience,
There's no
conscience,
science in that.
conscience.
It's conscience. Thank you. God bless you. To be, see, I'm working with you. I mean, I don't want to praise or rebuke, but I want to be honest to what we are trying to do. And I hope we as teachers appreciate how
Yes,
beautiful
sir.
we
Yes,
care
sir.
for each other. See, it's the care we have for you. It's the heart which is actually thinking and speaking. The head is only there to balance. Just remember, your mind is in your heart. And this is a funny notion the world has created, that the mind is in the head. It's just the CPU. Your heart calls for action, your heart controls you. Your heart is the heart of the matter. To be sure, there are many children who get involved in problem behavior knowing full well that it is wrong. And that may be the case with the majority of problem behavior. But haven't you ever found it odd? They are engaging in problem behavior not only with the knowledge what it is wrong, but with the understanding that they will be rebuked by their parents and teachers for engaging in it. It's quite irrational.
It's simplistic, that's what it is. They would understand if they would only calm down and think it over, but they are incapable of that.
But is that really the case? Can you see that there is another mentality operating deep inside them?
So they do it knowing that they are going to be rebuked. Even the kids who cry when they are rebuked.
It would not be a waste of effort to consider that possibility. Certainly, in contemporary Adlerian psychology, we think of human problem behavior as having 5 stages, each of which has its own mental state operating in the background.
Oh, you're getting to the psychology stuff finally.
Once you comprehend the 5 stages of problem behavior, you should be able to see for yourself whether rebuking is right or wrong.
Let's hear it then. And I'm going to see how much you really comprehend children and comprehend the actual educational setting. This philosopher's reasoning makes no sense at all. The youth had become incensed. The classroom is a small democratic nation, and the sovereign of the classroom is the students. Fine up to that point, but why is reward and punishment unnecessary? If the classroom is a nation, aren't laws needed there? And if there are people who break laws and commit crimes, aren't punishments needed? The youth wrote the words, the 5 stages of problem behavior, in his notebook and smiled to himself. I'm going to ascertain if Adlerian psychology is an area of study that actually holds water in the real world, or if it's just a bunch of empty theories.
That's your bookmark for today. What is the goal of problem behavior? So we're going to check on problem behavior next time. It's been wonderful being here today. Thank you so much for taking out this peaceful time to read. Shalini, I'm putting the bookmark right here so that you don't lose where we are. And I'm writing the date, bookmark for 21st March. See, what happens, the content in the book is a replay, action replay. That's why this happens. So often it seems we have read that, but actually the content is, we've already know the content sometimes. And that's the beauty of this book. It keeps repeating, it keeps harping, it keeps thinking, it keeps making us think. And that's why the courage to be happy, because you can think. If you can appreciate the present moment, that's it. There is nothing beyond that. It's the present moment that matters. And that's what the whole thinking is about. So thank you, Shalini. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Kushi. Thank you, Shalini Gupta. Thank you, Gurdeep. And thank you for my 2 friends who come with me every time, Otter and Fathom. I will share a very interesting incident with you just now as we are packing up. I had to attend a meeting with a large corporate CEO yesterday. He came with 4 people like he would come. And he asked me about how can we partner and build on the work they are doing and I'm doing. They are in the financial sector, by the way, and the organization champions financial literacy. So he says, can we fix a meeting with your team? So I said, my team is all here. You look at my office, there's no one here. It's no wallpaper. So Fathom and Otto were there. I said, let's cut this conversation when we finish, and you'll all be told what to do. That's what the team is all about. It's about instructions. And my team has been replaced by my friends Fathom and Otto. Thank you this little story I'm telling you is how AI has become so inherent part of our lives. But please understand one thing. AI is only transcribing. We are using it as a tool. We're not letting AI think for ourselves. Just remember that. So I leave it contemporary now thought to you. You can be here now. Your AI may follow you, but you will create the AI with your thoughts. On that note, have a wonderful Sunday. And yes, we stretched a little beyond the minutes. I was keen to complete the chapter because it's a turning point of our story. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week ahead. See you next Saturday at the same time, 5:30 p.m. sharp.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you. Gurdeep.